All right, now I love that sound, boy. It just kind of eases us into the show. So, welcome everyone to another session with Conversations with Geoff. And I am the host, Geoff Tyson, and we are excited about who we're going to show to you in just a couple of minutes. This lady is fire, but we were having some fun backstage. So, you know the rules. I got to go through a couple of things. So, just be patient with me. First and foremost, we want to thank everybody that shows up each and every time you see something coming from us and you support us. You drop some information in the chat. You share this stuff with your friends. You subscribe to the channel. You understand what our real mission is, right? It's about, hey, what? Changing that stinking thinking, right? I said stinking, not stinking. I said stinking thinking, baby. That stuff that holds you back, that we've been carrying for a long time. You know, the messages that other folks have told us about ourselves, the messages that we tell ourselves because of that, and some other situations in our life that kind of created that whole negative perspective, right? So I want you to know today you're going to hear something that's going to set you free from a spiritual side, a biblical side, for those of you that are looking for that peace. And boy, you know, you got some homework to do. So she's going to leave you with something. And I'm going to leave you with something, like always, right? What is it? Here it is. Write this down, and then I want you to stay in touch with me until the next show about what I'm about to ask you. And it's really a simple question about what is it that creates the opportunities that we've all been looking for, that we thought we would never be able to, first of all, be a part of and or achieve? Is it faith, belief? Tell me what you think it is, because I want you to know that what I believe this to be true. Whatever we tell ourselves and whatever we pray about and we put out in the universe, that's what we get. There's energy in prayer. I mean, we are as people, bodies of energy. And you're going to get some energy here, because our next guest is going to light you up, boy. So let me just go through her thing. Remember your homework. What is those things? If you're confused about what I said, just say, Geoff, I know what you're talking about, and hit me up and we'll figure it out. All right? You guys know how I like to do that. So anyway, just a quick bio on our guest. She's a LifeGiver Coach. I'm going to reflect on some highlights, so I'm looking down for that. 23 years in the public education and ministry leadership for youth, women, and single adults. Artist. Started a radio show in 2010, still going, Devo Dish. She'll talk about that probably for just a minute. Spotlighting Christian authors for promoting devotion and time with God. I mean, just to tell you the times on there. Most recently in 2022, she launched her life coaching business, has led her to entering into the Great American Speakoff. Hey, you got to check this out. That's going to be like the next, what is that, Great American Voice or whatever it is? You got to check it out. That's a for real thing. And she was one of 100 out of 27,000 that came down to 130 of us. And she was there with me. And that's where we met, right? So anyway, just a little bit about that. She likes to travel, married, family, worked out a little bit. She was complaining about being a little sore because she worked out today. Oh, man, lady after my heart. So listen to me. No further ado. Clap your hands. Get ready for our next guest, my friend, Chelsea Sheffield. Let's bring her on here, baby. Where we going? Come on. Yeah.
Geoff, you already prophesying on me. You didn't prophesy marriage. I am not married.
Oh.
But amen.
I'm sorry. I wanted you to be married. I married you.
That's on the prayer list, brother. I said, okay, we in tune already. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm prophesizing. If that's what you want, you're going to get married.
This brother going to put some marriage on you, ladies. If you looking to hit up Brother Tyson, he's going to get it. He's going to get it to heaven for you.
I'll get you married. Come to Conversations with Geoff. Subscribe, tag your
friends. It's the marriage show.
Woo! I'm saying, and I don't see married on here anywhere. I just showed us made that up. Man. Oh, hey, well, thank you for your sense of humor and your kindness for not,
absolutely.
That's what it's all about here. Love that smile, love your energy here, and you know, I'm grateful that we met, where we met, and how we met, and you're doing some amazing things. So, you know, I hope I didn't mess up anything else on your bio. You know, I kind of skimmed through it. You know,
not at all. Not
good.
At all. Doing a great job, Brother Tyson.
Thank you so much. You know, I want people to understand the powerhouse that we have in front of them, so they better get the pen, paper out, or their phone and start taking some notes, right? And tagging their friends and inviting them in. So, as always, we kind of just flow with the energy of the conversation, and you and I were chatting about some things. So tell the world you got a little secret, a new addition to the family, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I had a new baby cousin. My cousin
Hmm.
gave birth, and her name's Cyan. She literally is 1 week old today, and so I celebrate her. I told Brother Geoff, I said, it's something about celebrating a birth, because we are very familiar with funerals. We've had a lot of funerals in our
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
So anytime you can celebrate something opposite of that, some kind of new gift, new life, it's worth mentioning.
Yeah, and we've got a 1.5-year-old granddaughter. So, the girls, I don't care what the fellas say. Little baby boys, we love you, but it's something about that little female body and just hard looking up at you. It's just magic.
You're not afraid to hold them, Geoff? Some
Yeah.
like they think they're gonna drop them.
Yeah. At first I was, but I got a little experience with it. But at first, I'm standing here like this and afraid to move because they're so precious.
They are very expensive and irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Woo!
And for those of you wondering, that expensive piece carries on. Ours is 35, and she's still right around the corner. So even though she's got her own life and her own family, mommy, and when you hear mommy, you better run, because that's
Hey, but it's also the gift that keeps on giving.
It is. That's a fact.
I know some people still wait for it to kick in, though.
Yeah.
I sympathize with parents being an educator, so I'm not a parent, but I can sympathize.
Oh yeah, you can, because you see. So being an educator, and that's interesting. You say that. I mean, sympathizing with the parents. What is it that, if you think back, what do you when we think about what the parents may go through, or what is it that tugs at your heart? I mean, when you remember.
One of the things I've come to understand about parents, and I tell this to new teachers, like when I've mentored new teachers or doing trainings, is that the rapport you build with your parents is your buy-in to the child. I'll say it again. The rapport you build, that means the customer service, the relationship that you build with your parent is the buy-in to the child, because you guys are partnering on raising this kid. Like it or not, though we are instructors, we are helping to rear your children. Yeah. And so with that understanding should be a mutual respect, but also having the understanding that you have been given and entrusted with someone's most prized possession. Like we say, you cannot go to aisle 6 and get another kid. So we know you and I tell, and then for teachers who are parents, they get it. They understand that when they come to parent conferences or meetings, or like me, I facilitate a lot of ARDS, which is a meeting for children with special needs. Those are difficult meetings because parents see their kids as an extension of them. So if they're cutting up, as we say, or if they're acting up in class, the parent is already coming defensive because they don't want to feel like you're saying I'm not raising them well, or I'm not training them properly. So there's a little pride and there's a little insecurity, a little vulnerability there for parents, because they're having to come in, and while they want to be the greatest advocate for their child, they also want to make sure that they're being fair. So it's a tough position to be in, because that's your flesh and blood, and then here's this person who is pretty much a stranger to you, given their viewpoint and assessment of something that was once a part of your body.
Yeah.
So I tell people, have that in mind when they come with the emotions, or if they're a little upset, and then just remind them that you are there to serve them, because we are serving them.
Yeah, I love that. And, my daughter's a teacher, 4th grade, and she's in the classroom, so we talk a lot about the interaction with parents, and there's some that are easy to deal with, and we keep it real on the show, right? There's some parents that can I just say
need a prayer service? Need Bible study?
Yeah, need a lot of something,
Come to Jesus meetings. I do those too. I do come to Jesus meetings with parents. I love principals who don't mind when I do. Yeah.
So drop a nugget on those parents that are listening, that or teachers that maybe they can take away from here and implement, because it's real life,
Right.
and
Well,
it's more and more.
absolutely. Well, just some of the things I just shared for teachers just come with the customer service piece.
Yeah.
And for parents to keep in mind that your child is in progress. They're evolving, they're in evolution. When a child steps into a classroom, it's a new world for them, which means there's going to be attributes about them that are on display that might not normally be on display at home, because they're stepping into a new arena and a new environment. I always said I wanted to write a book, Classroom versus the Living Room, because sometimes people confuse the two. When your child is in the comfort of your home, they have access to all their familiarity. But when they step into these teachers' classrooms, they're stepping into a community of many households, many belief systems, many cultures. And so we have to raise our children to know how to go into new environments and be a part and not take over. And so that starts at home with them getting out, having life experiences. So I think if you give your children as many life experiences, and you do not have to break the bank to do that. There are so many places to go just here in the Metroplex of DFW that are for free $99. Expose your kids, have conversations with them. Don't just feed and clothe them and shelter them. That is not enough. And so just keep in mind that if you are introducing them to new things, then when they step into a classroom, it won't be such a shock for them.
Yeah, I love that. My wife and I are adamant about exposure with our grandbabies and our nieces and nephews. And I heard something, and we'll move on, but I think it's important to share because you brought it up. A parent was talking about, the teachers were saying things that they thought, asked them what they thought was important for their children to learn. And the parent said, you know what, for us, it's making sure that they know how to communicate with anybody at any level, right? And you get comfortable like that by being exposed, being trained, having some guidance along the way, right? And because then you're less likely to be shushed, because you'll learn how to speak to somebody. You'll learn how to say, "Excuse me, mommy or daddy, can I?" Or "Excuse me, Miss Sheffield," and they ask questions, and we as adults, our guard won't be as old fashioned. We learn to tell kids to shh. So just
it's an old adage. That old adage of seeing kids are meant to be seen and not heard. That doesn't work. That does not work. They will not survive in the current culture with that adage.
No, I love that. So we should have a session around that sometime about how you can do that, because it's if you don't know how to do it yourself as a parent, it's hard for your kids to.
Right. And even admitting it, like, who wants to admit, I don't know what to do with my kid? Nobody wants to admit that. Just like some teachers don't want to admit they don't know what they're doing. Because, honey, I'm one of those teachers. I am a huge advocate of, if you do not have the education, you do not need to be in that classroom. If you do not have the preparation, and I tell some people, having a kid does not qualify you to teach.
Say that one more time.
Having a child, giving birth, adopting, or whatever route you have taken to have a child in your home does not qualify you to teach. It qualifies you for that kid. But when we're trained to be teachers, we're trained to be before anybody's kid.
Yeah, I love that.
It's the difference. There's a
I
science.
love that.
There's a science to this.
It really is. I mean,
I don't want no dentist that just took a test. I want a dentist who went through the coursework. Out of my mouth.
They pull somebody else's teeth a while before they come and get yours.
I'm gonna need that certification and that training and clinical work.
Oh yes, so important. I mean, boy. Well, I can stay here forever, but I know we only have just a little bit left with you. And I want people to get some things, and I want to know about the Devo dish. Can you talk about that for a second? What that is and what that does?
It's something God gave me out of my disobedience. Let me just go and tell on myself. I'm gonna tell you right now, you cannot be an effective Christian if you don't know how to tell on yourself. So I'm gonna tell on myself. I struggle to have devotion time. I struggle to just
Mm,
daily get up and put God first. And so Diva Dish was birthed out of disobedience. It was
mm,
birthed out of me having to be placed in a space where I was pulled out of education. The
mm.
Lord called me out of education in 2010. And I tried to, remix what he said. And by 2011, I was getting in trouble at work and stuff. Like, I'm telling you, don't listen to God, the fire turns up where you have to come out. So I had to come out. And for 3 years, I was po. I was a little person driving a Lexus SUV, living in an efficiency in Kessler Park. Yes, I in the Indigo High Rise, I'll never forget it. The Lord he was disciplining me, but discipline is love in God's eyes, and he was trying
Yes.
to prepare me for a new identity. We forget that sometimes God removes us from the familiar to get a new identity. And in
Yes.
that time, he started showing me that I needed to have interaction with him. So I did. I was just doing little odd jobs on the side. I think I joined a what do you call the little job place, a staffing place. Where you
Yes.
get little
Okay.
side jobs there, but I could not operate in my career, which downsized me like significantly to where I was living off of a fourth of what I used to make.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
lived off of it per month. Like I was living out in holy handshakes. You know what a holy handshake is? That's when somebody shake your hand and leave you a little something, something. I love holy hand. You can still give me holy handshakes today. But during that time, in that space of being broken, I was desperate, and I was broke. I was poor. So I had a different level of dependency. It wasn't my education, wasn't my money, wasn't my nice place I lived. Like it, I was broken down to the bare minimum. And in that space, I was able to hear God. We'd be surprised when people say, I can't hear God. You might have too much stuff that's louder than his voice. You might have too much education that's louder than his voice. Sometimes you can have too much success that's louder than his voice. And so sometimes when we're saying we can't hear God, it's because what other voices are turned up. And in that space, God said, I want you to travel my word. So Geoff, I thought I was going to buy me a little van and go on revival and pitch tents.
You gonna be
trying to figure it out, bro. I was like, well, maybe that's why I got to keep the Lexus and he didn't take everything. Travel in style and pitch this tent.
There you go. There you go.
No, because I ended up having to sell the car to keep going. So that kind of messed up that interpretation. And so I had a friend, and this same friend, it's interesting you would ask me this because this same friend, she just blessed me with a phenomenal weekend trip to a resort. We used to do spoken word and poetry together, and I remember she accepted her calling as a pastor, and I'd accepted mine as a minister by this time. And she said, the Lord had you on my mind. Has God been talking to you about his word, about teaching or doing something, anything? I said, well, he wants me to travel his word. So I'm thinking I'm about to go on tour. Like I'm going to be just going to different cities. She said, could it have been the airwaves and not the roadways? She said, I bought a station. She told me she bought a radio station. I said, how do you do that? How do you buy? I said, yeah, you tell me you got this kind of money. How do you buy a radio station? I don't know, my friend. And before you know it, Diva Dish was born. We were pre-recording them. No one could see me. It was just radio, pure radio, being broadcasted in it. We didn't know internet radio, KEBN, Kingdom Expansion Broadcast Network. That was going to be the next best thing. I mean, we even were nominated for Dove Awards for our work. And so who knew that internet radio was going to be this huge sensation? And many were just coming out. iHeartRadio, like many of those places, Fishbowl Network, many of those stations were just starting to come to life around that time. And so in 2000, that was about 2011. And I won't forget that because my grandmother passed that year. And this show, God said, I want you to know that let people know I'm still talking. They're not listening. I need them to key in. And Christians cannot survive on Sundays and Wednesdays. They need me every day the way you had to learn the hard way. They need me every day because, again, I want to save them time, money, and heartache. I need them to hear me. So they not blaming their pastors. You need to hear God for yourself.
Pastor, speak up. I ain't hear you. What you talking
Yeah,
about?
that was for all the leaders that be getting beat up on all the time. I did that for y'all. That was a little for y'all.
That's good.
They were never meant to be your God, and I don't think they've ever tried to be. I think it's people come to God expecting and not rendering a gift. You coming into the presence of a king, and then even in the old period, like if when there was a monarchy, when you came into the presence of the king, you dare not come empty-handed, or you wouldn't even be heard.
Yeah. You know, and I wrote down, might have too much stuff to hear his word. You know, talking about you and your space, hearing, having too much stuff, or not really willing to let go.
Yeah.
You
We
know,
put confidence in stuff, Geoff. We
yeah,
put confidence in marriage,
yeah,
having the American dream, children. Like, we think these things, while they're a part of our identity, they are not the full makeup. Your full makeup is why you were sent into the earth. Why did God send you into the earth? And if you cannot answer that question, you still don't know who you are.
yeah. Well, you know, I don't have a lot of answers sometimes in my own life. I know that, you know, I just keeping it real, right? You know, but I do know that it's folks like you that are out there delivering a message that people can hear. And you speak to us. You talked about teachers and parents building rapport. You know, I mean, your message, just from what I know, is about serving and listening without, what I'm not saying. Your other set of ears is open.
Yes.
And you hear those two looking through the eyes of the individual you're talking to. So, this is good. So let me, because I know I got about another minute or something, and you got to run. So I want to make sure that people can connect with you, and if you have some things going on and that they may be looking out for, that they can stay in touch with you. How would they do that?
So the biggest thing that I'm doing right now is being a life coach. That is probably the main thing that God has been doing, that is so new and so fresh and such a blessing. And so if you want to check out Diva Dish, as we were just talking about, just search Diva Dish and go to our page on Facebook. Or if you want to connect with me, you can message me, DM me at Chelsea Sheffield, Chelsea CHELSEA, Sheffield SHEFFIELD, just as it's listed here. And if you are wanting questions and information on the LifeGiver Coach, I have been able to combine my ministerial, my educational background to create a program to help people of God get back to origin. And if you don't know God, you probably will after some time with me. And it's basically getting people to live again, LIVE, which is have a love for God, invest in yourself again, have a vision in view, and learn to encourage yourself. That blueprint will make you a very healthy person, a very whole person to function again.
Yeah, I love that. Encourage yourself. And that kind of goes back to the mission of our show, which is to change the conversation with yourself about yourself through encouraging practices, through connecting with God again. If you're a Christian, or if you're whomever you might need or focus on in terms of leadership in your life, like that, and love do that. But I saw this, and I'm gonna steal another minute. Do you have one more minute? I know I'm watching the clock.
We're good.
This is good because I looked at something here, and I want to say, let me ask you this question, right? I mean, it's kind of like we had in here about roadblocks or events that found it challenging, and you write in here grief, losing multiple parents and loved ones, and then abusive dating habits and relationships. That's a mouthful, and I mean, I think that kind of, to me, that's part of your journey as to how you got to who you are today.
Yes. I tell people I don't believe in giving unused advice.
Come on now.
That will make me hot like fish grease, as we say in the South. Do not give me unused advice.
Yes.
And then we have a world and a society that's saying, oh no, I need the real deal. These millennials are not playing church. They're like, either give me the power of God, or I don't want anything to do with it. I'll stay at home and watch it on YouTube. People want an experience with God. They want to encounter God. And that's what it took for me to get to this stage. I wasn't qualified to be the LifeGiver Coach. And God gave me that name. He said, you're not going to be just another life coach because they're a dime a dozen. He says, you're going to be the LifeGiver Coach because you're going to give them my principles, my ways, my precepts. You're going to give them me so that when it's just like the woman at the well, when Jesus met the woman at the well, he said, I want to make an exchange with you. I want to make sure you never have to draw from this well again. Because it's empty anyway. It's dried up anyway. I want to quench that thirst forever. Right. And so that's what's going on in our society. And so when I used to date, which is why I have a heart for singles and working in singles ministry, I was in a place where I was still choosing and making decisions with unhealed eyes, unhealed ears, and an unhealed mouth. And so when you haven't let God do some work and some damage control on you, you will unfortunately, people say you draw. It's not so much that you're drawing, but it's part of you. Yeah. And that's a hard thing, especially if you've been a victim, because when you've become a victim of something, you can sometimes only see how you've been hurt, but you don't see your premeditated steps that got you ensnared in sin. You don't see. And so you have to have a compassion and a testimony to walk somebody through that. Let me walk you through. I hear you, and that's so unfortunate. I'm sorry that happened, but over here, this probably could have been avoided. You skipped some steps, right? Even when I counsel with married couples, you might have skipped some steps because you didn't do life alone well. That's why you don't do it well with others.
Yeah.
So I think marriage would cure what was going on when you were by yourself. Because see, we blame people too much. And the devil said, no, that Lord, they just blaming me for everything. God, like, I know. Because the devil didn't do some of this stuff. The devil didn't do, he gave opportunities. He opened doors. He's like Vanna White, like door 1 and 2. And we chose. Because we forget that joke is powerless. The devil is powerless. He can't make you do anything. And the other part, my mother is the story that won the Great American Speakoff. And it's funny because I used to be ashamed of the story of my mom being a crackhead and a heroin addict and all the things that she did to take care of her habit, right? Right. And the many years we went with her being incarcerated and all the different stages of life she missed out on with us because of this addiction. But as I grew up and started to have my own sinful nature, my own testimony, and this is another thing, some of y'all need to quit blaming your parents because some of that stuff is yours. It's not your parents. People can only be what has been deposited into them. The more I came to learn my mom, went to Al-Anon meetings and got to know her story, the more I realized that it's hard being a woman. Yeah. And it's hard being an Afro-American woman. We're Afro-Latin. And so it's hard being what we expected to be when it seemed like everything is working against us. My mom had trauma. She had trauma since she was a young girl. And she was undiagnosed as bipolar. And so this woman, can imagine trying to get off of drugs and you bipolar and don't know. It's almost impossible. There were so many pieces that we didn't know. So the little girl in me had to wait her turn because God's like, I'm still waiting for her just to be my daughter. Yeah. He said, so get in line. She needs to be my daughter first. So when I was able to look at my mom with the eyes of another Christian sister, look at her as a soul, I could forgive her, Geoff. Yeah. Not only could I forgive because I need to be forgiven because I know how hard it is to do right. Yeah. And I know how hard it is to do right with trauma, with pain, right? Yeah. And so when once I was able to do that, do you know forgiveness is twofold? This is for somebody. Forgiveness is twofold. Not only does it release you out of the little jail you built for this person, but you just release them too. Yes. You want them to change. It's funny how when someone hurts us, we talk about the hurt, but don't you want people to change? Yeah. Don't you want people to reform, right? Yeah. Get better. And so unfortunately, I tell people I said unfortunately for some, fortunate for others. When you forgive, that means you got to take that key out of your pocket because that's what unforgiveness is, sitting in a jail cell with the people you don't like and having forgiven with the key in your pocket. You got to take that key, unlock that cage, and let everybody out.
That's
and
right.
when you do that, that's when the healing begins.
Yeah.
So that's why I call myself the LifeGiver Coach, because I've had to live through and go through some painful things. Buried my grandparents. My grandmother went 2011. Then my grandfather went 2014. Had a best friend murdered by accident, mistaken identity in 2017. One of the ministers I was ordained with died in 2017. Man, I was so tired of funerals.
Yeah.
I was so tired of loss that it broke me. I went through a nervous breakdown. I even attempted to take my own life. But the Lord said, I'm gonna let your behind sleep. You're not gonna even die. I'm not very successful at suicide. The Lord said, you gonna live with that one. You
good thing.
Think you all that. You don't even know how to commit suicide, right? You just went to sleep. He'll humble you. He'll humble you even in death.
Oh man,
he said, I got work for you to do, and he said, and it's bigger than you. There are people I need to bring back home through you. It's bigger than you. Dry up your tears. Give me them tears, because I'm gonna use them. Not one tear, not one pain, not even your mistakes will be wasted.
Yes,
none of it. All of it is useful for the kingdom and the glory of God. Yes, so that's what I do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You just took us to church.
I sure did. I can't help that.
So
hey, you messed up putting the mic in front of a minister.
I bet y'all didn't know y'all was going to church today. But hey, listen, let me tell you something.
How many times does a minister say, "I'm about to wrap up"?
I'm about to. Yeah. Hey, I was waiting for you to do it. I'll be done in a minute. I was getting ready to hit the button. So I don't know what happened to her. She just went.
No, it is a life or death matter. The work you're doing is a life or death matter. What we do is a life or death matter. And so I should always bring it with urgency, because it's urgent right now. It's the state of the world is urgent.
State of the world is urgent, and you know, but it's the messages like what you shared, and it's the attitude and the love for other folks and the life-giving perspective that you bring that makes the difference. So I really want to say thank you for taking. I know I held you a little longer than we agreed, but I think the message was powerful. I know I got something out of it, and I know you left the audience with some things to think about. And we want you to know that whether you are Christian or not, we welcome you on the show. It's about, serving each other and finding love and grace. And so I want to say thank you for your time. And any last words in 2 sentences, Pastor? I'm gonna talk Pastor now. So
don't do that to me. Don't do that. No, I think it's all has been said. Take care of yourself. Don't be ashamed to get help. We all need help. I am only here because I decided to get help. I was a licensed and ordained minister, and I needed help.
Yeah, I love
that. Your education, your bank account, none of that can save you. The person that is the most qualified to help save you is you. Yeah.
That's so true. And I want to mention, you shared it about your mom and people, brown folks as a culture are hesitant around mental health and getting help, and going undiagnosed. So I hope you heard something when she talked about her mom and that experience once they found out. And they can get some help for her. So Chelsea, listen, I want to say thank you again. I'm going to be quiet because now you're going to tell me I got to go be quiet. So thank you so much, and love the beautiful message and the smile. And we hope to have you on again sometime in the near future.
It'd be a pleasure. It's been an honor. Thanks for having me, Geoff.
Appreciate it.
Geoff,
we'll see you around. That's it.
You don't want to get it mistaken.
That's it. Appreciate it. I'll see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye. Wow. Well, hey, listen, what did I tell you? We met not too long ago. So what she shared, a lot of it was a new perspective for me as well. And man, I just can't say how appreciative we are for her honesty, her humility, and her just pure desire to serve. So she said a lot of things, but I want to make sure you encourage yourself through the conversations that you're having with yourself about yourself, and if you're wondering about the gospel and the message, you heard it from her. You need to look her up and let her help you. Let the life giver help you find your path and find your journey, right? So listen, one more time, subscribe, share, and like this, and tag your friends, and stay connected. Stop that stinking thinking, and let's find some new ways to think, because we know change your thoughts, change your life. All right, baby, we're out. We'll see you on the next show. Bye-bye.